to Music 101 with your host, Alexxis Steele. Sponsored by Steel Notes Magazine. You can find them at the web, folks, at www.steelnotesmagazine.com.
Somebody from Los Angeles will see my work and they will help me get to Los Angeles. Sure enough, that's what happened. My theory as a photographer has always been guerrilla shooting. You just go in, you do whatever it is, you make the best of what you've got, and you get something brilliant. Amy Van Doren is my muse.
Depth in it, it's like a Rembrandt, because that is one fabulous job you do.
I was never going to have my picture taken again until I met Alan Mercer.
That's good stuff.
Hi, it's Alexxis Steele with Music 101. It gives me great pleasure to bring to you this evening the one and only amazing Alan Mercer. How you doing, Alan?
Hi, Alexxis. I'm doing great, and I want to say thanks for having me on here. It's very exciting for me.
Oh, well, it's very exciting for me to finally get to see you in person, kind of.
Yes, this is it. This is about as in person as we can get for the moment. But
exactly.
One day I want to see you in person for real.
That would be awesome.
And take a fabulous picture of you.
Oh, I'd love that.
Yeah, well,
and nobody does pictures better than you.
Oh, well, bless your heart. I love that. I try.
Oh, that's amazing.
And
well, Alan, usually what I do is like to give our listeners a little background on the people that we interview.
Sure.
Because not everybody may be familiar.
Well, yeah.
So now, where are you from originally?
I grew up in Nebraska, in the middle of kind of nowhere,
Nebraska.
Out in the country. Okay. Yes.
Wow.
And then I kind of lived around Ohio, and then I came to Texas in 1980, and I was here for quite a while. Then I lived in New York City for a while.
Oh, really? You did?
Yes, in 88 and
Manhattan?
89. Yes. And then
nice.
I moved to Los Angeles. So the main thing to know is I moved to Los Angeles in 2001 with the intention of taking like celebrity photos, but not paparazzi or anything like that. Just like album covers, book covers, DVD as it ended up being. So I started a website in 1997, and because I had been taking pictures for a few, like 3 or 4 years, and people told me how that I had, without knowing anything, I just was coming up with some striking images. So they said, you should really learn about it and do that. So I did, and I got technically proficient. And I started the website and knowing that someone in Hollywood would find it. And then that would be my entree out there. And that's what happened. James Mall, a director who won an Academy Award for the documentary The Last Days, he saw my site. He flew into Dallas to have me do a portrait of him with the Academy Award behind him, in a setting for the DVD that was coming out of the film. And then he was connected to Steven Spielberg and Shoah Foundation. And he said, I actually need a photographer for Steven and a few other world level directors that are going to fly in from all over the world and do a group photo. And I would like to hire you to do that, if you'll come out. And I said, of course. And not only will I come out, I'm just going to move out. I took it as an omen and a sign that if your first job, the reason you're coming to Los Angeles is to photograph Steven Spielberg, that's pretty blatant to me. So
Sure, absolutely.
I said, because you don't start with Steven Spielberg.
Right.
So anyway, the rest went on from there. It was exciting, weird.
I wanted to ask you, because from what I read, that actually you started off first as a painter and a sketch artist,
Yes.
and you were endorsed by Andy Warhol.
Yes, that was the whole decade of the 80s. I pursued the more artistic world. I did many exhibits and shows, and I was pretty much pumping out, work back then. And I was trying, in my Warholian influence, I was having it printed. I was doing greeting cards and just trying all that, little posters. That I always have liked, whether it was drawing or photography or whatever. Instead of just that first initial image, I always think it looks more exciting and more what I'm intended when I see words printed over it and things. I just love that for some reason. And so to me, the graphic art completes it in many ways.
So is that during that time were you living in New York City?
No, I met Andy in 85, and then he actually didn't live much longer, unfortunately. And I moved to New York in 88. And I was doing all that there too. And I have all sorts of New York stories, but it seems like forever ago.
Did you go to Studio 54?
That was after that. I think it was gone by then, or it wasn't what it was. It was never, when it was really in its heyday, I was still in Nebraska. So, but I think now, after all these years, looking at all the documentaries and all that, I think it's better to have seen it like this. I don't know about actually being there and in it, because it seemed like it was pretty intense. So.
Okay, so what made you decide to go to Texas?
Absolutely not knowing a thing about it. And I had an aunt and uncle here, and I had a cousin who wanted me to move. And so, that's why. I just had no idea, I didn't know. I probably wouldn't. I like Texas, the culture, the people in it, as far as the art world and the music and all that. It's alive and vibrant and brilliant. And I am overwhelmed in some ways by how much there is.
Really? Well, now I know a lot about people you photograph, because obviously I've seen them on Facebook, and one person in particular whose name I'm not going to mention yet, because that person is your muse. We're going to save that person, okay, for later. But who was the first actress or actor that you photographed? Well, I mean, I know you said with Steven Spielberg and all that, but
I had already photographed one actor who was my first, and that was Danny Trejo.
Okay, cool.
And that was another sign for me. I went to Austin, where he was filming the first Spy Kids, and he was so amazing. And I spent the day on set with Antonio Banderas
Nice.
and Danny and the actress Carla. I don't know how to pronounce her last name, to be honest with you. But anyway, it was Robert Rodriguez was like a teenager. It was the most lighthearted, playful set. And of course, the set is only a big empty room because it was all that, CGI stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it was amazing to watch them film it, which is like standing in your garage making a movie.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's bigger, but
Yeah.
the soundstage is huge, actually. But there's nothing there. Absolutely nothing.
Wow.
And then when you see the movie, of course, it's all whimsical and
Right.
now. But anyway, it was great fun, and it was a great introduction to that world. Danny was like a long lost relative, and we became instant good friends. And he was another real big part of why I moved to Los Angeles too, because he was so welcoming and inviting, and he took me around at first too, and to events mostly where there'd be lots of different celebrities, and that's how it is. If you're introduced to people, everybody's a lot more open. If you go up and introduce yourself, it's iffy.
Right. But it's word of mouth then.
It's word of mouth that does the trick, more than anything.
Absolutely. So how long were you in LA?
13 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And I really didn't think I was ever going to leave. I didn't have any intention to leave. But it kind of took a turn for me where it wasn't as happening after like 2008 when the economy kind of went tanked, and all of a sudden the people I worked with no one was working, and the rates were really dropped, like what you would get paid before versus what you were now.
Right.
So it was just a lot harder, but I was still didn't have a problem with it. But my father was coming to the end of his life, and I wanted to be back here to be a part of that. And so then I just said, I can really move anytime I want, whatever. I can do whatever I want, really. And at first when I did that, I flew back and forth to Los Angeles like 4 or 5 times a year for a while. But then...
And then you'd schedule your shoots then?
All together, yeah. Yeah. And then COVID, and then I haven't been there since. I just haven't gone back since, because everything it's been so crazy that I didn't want to be in it.
Right, I don't blame you.
I don't have to. I'm working here. I shoot lots of musicians, and I find that I love it.
Cool.
So it's infinitely more relaxed. My standards are higher than a lot of it, because Los Angeles and Hollywood and all that's, the highest.
Right.
So.
Exactly. So, okay. So you've photographed lots of beautiful women, Stephanie Powers, BB Buell. I mean, the list is just like,
oh my gosh,
unbelievable. Yeah, Priscilla Presley, I saw, Linda Gray,
yes,
Julie
Priscilla.
Newmar.
Yes, I have to say I've been very, very fortunate and blessed, because I think the sum total is always better than any just one thing. I think having groups of things that belong together is just, I like that.
Oh, absolutely. Oh yeah, Mackenzie Phillips. That was the other one too. I knew that, Mackenzie. Yeah, I actually met Mackenzie. Well, I'd seen her a couple times I haven't been out there since 2019 because of COVID, but Chiller Theater. I don't know if they have that in California or not, but they have that in New Jersey.
Same thing. Yes.
Yeah.
And I got to say too, when you brought up BB's name, another one, this is what I think too about kind of like you're in the right, what you're doing, what you're supposed to do, because the people you come across, you're just so naturally in sync with and in tune with, without any effort. And BB is also that way. We were instant. And again, I give that credit to her because she's just very welcoming and outgoing and, extra cool. So, I can't give her enough credit for helping me, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
I say that.
So let's talk about the person that I know that you've photographed, maybe more than anybody else.
The most
that you photographed, your muse, Hollywood starlet and sex symbol Mamie Van Doren.
Yes. I couldn't be more thrilled. And my life couldn't be more completed. Isn't that, I don't know why exactly, but we are just, I don't know, we fit like the most perfect puzzle pieces. We've had now almost 20 years of close friendship and partnership. And we have never even for one moment had a ripple of disagreement or negative energy or, which it would be okay if you had. I mean, after that long, it's only somewhat normal, but it's just absolutely vacant in our friendship and energy. We don't have it. And she is nothing but a doll. And when we were first together, working together and all that, we talked on the phone every day, 2 or 3 hours sometimes. And
now, were you living in LA at the time?
Yes. Mm-hmm. I wrote her a letter. I saw her website. I guess it was an email, but or maybe a letter. I don't remember exactly. But anyway, and just begged her. I mean, in some way, it was probably a little beggy to just at least give me a chance, and then she did. I think it was an email. She wrote back like a day later and said, "Oh yeah, she would love to do that," and that's all she said. She never, and I just left me hanging. I was like, okay. So what do we do now? And so I guess I just wrote her back and I said, okay, so can you give me an idea of when? And I remember she said, after the Academy Awards. So, which was a couple of weeks away or something. She goes, I'll be more relaxed for whatever reason. And anyway, we got together pretty fast. And instant. She's taught me everything again. I mean, all these great beauties that you've mentioned, every last one of them taught me something because they're all so brilliantly self-aware and they're so experienced that they were able to impart onto me that wisdom. And I could not have learned it anywhere else.
Wow.
Again, all I did was point cameras and not knowing what I'm doing, people were attracted to them. So then when I started learning, like I said, and we're working with these people, Mamie, far and above, and all of them in a different category completely. But absolutely,
and also your photographs have been on the cover of my magazine on Steel Notes. Yes, ones that you shot of Mamie.
Yes. And yes. And our picture together. I remember that.
Yep. And many, of course, the whole spread of stuff that you've done.
Oh yeah. So, and we're
many amazing pictures.
We're actually working again on revitalizing and energizing some of our old images that everybody's seen and putting a new spin on them. I don't want to say too much, but because it's hard to describe, but you would see a picture, you go, oh, I remember that, but this is completely different. It's the same exact image, but it's in a completely different scenario or something, or all the colors are different. Everything is, things are going to be added. We'll see. I mean, it's just, why not? Isn't it supposed to have fun? And if we can take something and, it can have more than one. And I think it's Warholian again.
Oh, yes. Very cool. Well, there's so many beautiful pictures that you've taken of Mamie. It's just unbelievable. And many people might not know this. I mean, to look at Mamie, you would never believe that she's, 91 years old.
She's 91 now, and she still looks, I mean, whatever her age is, she's going to look dramatically different than what another person of that age will look. And my time with her,
absolutely, she's the same age as my mom.
Yes. Oh wow, that's great. We started working when she was 74. So the youngest photo I have of her, she's 74. Wow. So it's remarkable. Even if she was not, and her oldest picture I have of her, she's 86. So it's been 5 years since I last photographed her.
Okay, so you haven't photographed her since she was 86.
86 was the last time, when she was 86, yes. So, I mean, I'm hoping, I mean, we're planning on it, it's just a matter of now everything has to work out for me to get there. And it takes a lot. I mean, I've got a lot going on here. I've got a lot of responsibilities, so I don't have the luxury of just dropping everything and going.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wish I did, but anyway, I just, I trust a lot in life in general, and I gave my life over to creative energy.
Absolutely.
That's what I did. And I'm happy with my decision. I see a lot of people suffering, and I've been fortunate not to.
Yes. The terrible times that we live in,
Yeah. Yeah. So I can't even imagine being in Los Angeles, having to pay bills and rent and all that, and not work.
My gosh, yeah.
Oh, that was rough.
Right. So besides women, you also photographed a lot of actors like Jules Marini and, you said Danny Trejo already.
Yeah, yeah.
But Smokey Robinson, Greg Allman, Ted Neely.
Yeah. And I also, I know, I think Etta would love being grouped in with the men, but Etta James is another
Etta James,
one.
right.
Yeah, that I loved beyond belief. So it was all just surreal. But yeah, Ted, another one. You couldn't ask for anyone more genuine and the closest to Jesus I have ever seen any human being be that was real, that wasn't phony. Ted, yeah, he's incredible. That's a person to really admire for his attitude, his loving attitude. It's unbelievable. And all of them, Greg Allman was as sweethearted as you could even have no idea. Humble. So,
I saw on your website some of the guys, I guess they look like cowboys, from being in Texas. I thought maybe they're local.
Right. Of course, that's a lot of Texas musicians, big time. And again, they can make a really great living and never leave the state.
Really?
They can travel all over. There's so many places.
Really? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's its own world. Texas is almost like its own country. It really is. It's not, that like that grid thing, like it went out here famously last winter before last. The whole rest of the country is on 2 grids, and Texas has its own.
Oh wow.
So it's just a whole different attitude here, and they're very proud and very, they're into it. But anyway.
So Texas, it's obviously, I guess that's a place where it's hot all year round, right?
Well, it's cold you get like 2 months where it's cold, but it's more hot. Yeah.
Are there beaches around there?
Yeah, they're not where I'm at because I'm up in the north central in Dallas Fort Worth, but Houston and Galveston and all that. But I've never been to Houston or any of those places, but they're popular.
I bet.
But yes, anyway, but I don't maybe edit out that part where I said Texas is too Republican because I don't want to offend anybody, but it's just me. I'm just not.
Now, also, you have a blog that you run with photos and interviews and all that. Tell me about that.
Thank you. Well, it's 13 years old, and for the first 11 years, it was pretty much just me and my pictures. I wasn't interested in profiling anybody without me taking the pictures. But then when COVID hit, it was either there was nobody to take a picture of course, and there were still people I love like Cherie Curry from the Runaways.
Cherie Curry.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And
I know Cherie.
I love her, and I said there's no reason why. I wanted to talk to her when she released that album, her last mega perfect album.
Are you talking about her Reverie, that one, or are you talking about the one that she did with Brie Darling from Fanny?
No, I'm talking about. Well, I like that one too. I like those are the last two. I'm talking about I'm terrible at remembering titles.
I think that's Reverie. I think that was the last
one. That sounds right. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I was like, Cherie, you are without a question. This is rock and roll, and it bums me out that her and like Susie Quattro and all that even though they're more than successful, they don't have the where's the respect,
right?
But anyway, so I had to vary from if I wanted to talk to people still to let the world know these artists exist. So I just broadened my concept, and so now it includes occasionally me talking to people on the phone, and I'll just use existing pictures, but mostly it's about it was meant to showcase my photographs, and I was already talking to people anyway. I just wasn't recording it.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of all the same way I would be even without even without recording. So I really have loved it. It's been good to me. My blog, it's had millions of hits, views, whatever, and I'm excited. I like it. I like
That's
that.
Great. That's awesome.
I like that it's over 400 whatever posts now, and that it's been over 13 years, because I know I love being able to consistently do something, because so many people can't. So many people start something and then I mean, I've heard, and it's not a lie, it's an unpaid job to create a blog for the most part.
Right.
So of course people get tired of it, but it's not in there. To me, that just means that it's not in their heart. If it's in your heart, you will do it. You'll pay to do it.
Right, exactly. 13 years you said that you've been doing your blog. And how many people have you spoken with?
Over 400.
Wow.
I know. And it's so...
And you photographed, did you photograph all of them?
Almost, up until the last couple of years. Then I've had about 8 maybe blogs where I haven't. I just did 3 in a row where I talked to... First, I talked to Ketty Lester, who is 89 years old, who is the original recording of Love Letters that they use like in Blue Velvet.
Oh, yeah?
And in others. That Love Letters Straight from My Heart, that song. Anyway, and she was on Little House on the Prairie. And so she's got a big following, but it's her music from the early 60s, which is, oh my God, it's unbelievable.
Oh, wow.
It's so glamorous and beautiful. And anyway, I was like, yes, I will talk to you on the phone, and go look at my blog then. Ketty Lester, it's the third one down. And then I talked to a fabulous artist by the name of Judy Cheeks, and she's been around for a while too, doing a lot of different things, mostly Europe and stuff. She said I was the first person she talked to that didn't have an accent, because it's mostly
Oh, really?
yeah, mostly from other countries. And then this week
Uh-huh.
I have the amazing Betty Paget. She is in Florida, and she released a blues album. She's been around since the 70s too, and singing R&B and Southern soul and blues and all that. And she's just the most awesome lady. So I just am, and I was like, of course I want to talk to you. And I thought I'd like to talk to Ava Cherry.
Oh, yeah, Ava
Too.
Cherry, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, we're friends on Facebook, and we communicate all the time, so she probably will. I mean, I'd love to take her picture, but I just don't know when or how, you know. So, oh, I must tell you.
Yeah.
Also, this past year, 2021, a dream came true that I got to photograph, and I don't know if you'll know who she is, because not a lot of people do, but her name is Asha Puthli.
No, I'm not
She
familiar.
is from India, and she was with the Warhol crowd too. She was like roommates with Holly Woodlawn, and all this. She, her album from that time, Andy put in a what is it? The box you put away the time, and then they pull it out years later. You know what I'm talking about? Where people put things in and then say in 50 years they'll open it up, and there'll be things there.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking
And
about.
he put her album in there, and so when they did a display at one of the museums, they displayed what was in his box, and of course her album was there. And anyway, we've been talking for like 6 or 7 years, I think, about us doing a photo shoot. And I said all the time, and I think she said it too, the universe wants this to happen. It's going to make it happen. It's allow it to happen. We just have to be patient and aware. And then in October, I was looking at Facebook, and Asha posted, I will be in Dallas, this Friday to receive an award.
Oh, wow.
And I called her on the phone that instant. I had her number, and I called her on the phone. And she answered, and she said, I never answer numbers that I don't know. And she goes, I just was told to answer. And I said, our photo session's about to happen. And it did. And it was magnificent to work with somebody like her. It was unreal. So those are like right at the top of my blog. So I think you can go see that way. You don't have to read them. Just glance at the pictures of Asha for sure. It's quite something.
I wanted to ask you about the background behind you. It looks like
old Hollywood
starlets.
It is. I had to be inspired, so I put them up, and I don't know what you can see, but yeah, that's Mansfield. Now there's no particular reason or rhyme or order or anything. It was just an image that I would see that I thought was fabulous.
Right.
Hedy Lamarr.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's Veronica Lake. I don't know if you can see. It's Gene Tierney after that. I don't know how far it goes back. But yeah, they're just any of them. And above them is Rita Hayworth and Mae West and Marlene Dietrich and all that. It's just all just something that probably not very many people would have. But I just wanted it.
Oh, yeah. See, I love all the old Hollywood starlets.
Yeah, I feel like having this surrounding me is just constantly, I do believe it's so much in energy, that even a rock has energy. So since I believe that way, I love to have the energy surrounding me. And I feel like it helps. I feel like it blesses me.
Oh, sure.
So that and my dog, I love, he.
Yeah, you have a little Yorkie, right?
He is a Yorkie, and he's little for a dog, but he's big for a Yorkie. He's kind of a king Yorkie, but yeah, I do.
How old is he?
He's 2
years old,
I guess. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I always wanted a miniature Yorkie, like one of those 3-pounders.
those little ones, I've had one many, many years ago, and they're delightful and they're easy, because they're so little, but I wanted something a little bit more substantial this time. And so I got him, and it's all about the energy with your dog too. It's like,
Oh yeah.
there's nothing like it. There is nothing
Mhm.
like it. So
Does your
anyway,
dog follow you everywhere?
mostly, but he's also, because I've had him since he was 8 weeks and I've never separated from him. So he's like really emotionally healthy. He's not afraid of anything. He's
Mhm.
he doesn't lose his mind like when I leave and come back. He doesn't act like all like crazy like dogs often do, and I
And
like
mine,
that
that's how
part.
mine is.
Yeah, well, most of them are, but like when I've had other dogs that I got older, like from this one I got, like I said, I could put him in my hand. But when you get them like when they've been around already, they always have all sorts of baggage, so it's a different
Oh
experience.
yeah. My other one that died in February, I got him at a year and a half old, and he was 18 and a half years old when we had to put him down, but they never get over that. They
They
never
never
get
do.
over,
No.
no.
So when you have it from a puppy that's that little and they don't know any different,
That's different when you've
it's a
raised it
real
from a puppy
different.
yourself.
Yeah, yeah. And the
Hmm.
connection, I don't know, the connection, every connection I've had to every dog has
Oh,
been
absolutely.
amazing. But they're all incredible gifts, and it's a privilege to have one. I don't take it lightly and for granted. I never complain.
Mhm.
I do everything that taking walks. It's good for me too.
Oh,
So
sure.
I
That's
love
it. It's good for your mental and physical health.
everything. Yes. So
Hmm.
we're happy. I
Absolutely.
can't complain. I'm very, very fortunate so far. So
Hmm.
I feel that I want to honor everything that I can, because
I don't blame you.
yeah, it's been too, I just have a more natural happiness that don't see in a ton of people anymore.
Hmm.
And
I
I
know.
try to help people. I try to say, it's your choice. It's your choice. It's your choice. But we'll see. Because it's always a choice. But
Oh
I
yeah.
understand. You have to have, everybody's got their own trip. And I try too to remember that all the time too. Don't think just because something looks horrifying to you that it's that way for another person, because it's not.
Right.
So,
Exactly. So, Alan, tell me, is there a particular person that you have not photographed yet that is on your bucket list?
mm, yeah, there's probably more than one. I mean, whenever I think of like that, I always think, well, what's realistic and what's pure fantasy, and uh, because it's women in particular, it's very difficult, even with experience and all that. It's you're dealing with not you're not dealing with rational thoughts and feelings when it comes to them being photographed. They're very nervous and hesitant as a rule. And the list of
Mhm.
women that I haven't photographed that have said they wanted to, but then never would, or would cancel at the last moment, is much longer than the list that
Oh,
I have. That's what people don't realize.
really?
Oh, yes, much. Usually, photographing someone in Hollywood is because there is no other choice. They have to have a picture.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that's when you get hired, because when it has to
Oh,
happen.
wow.
But just to do it, and I remember asking somebody in particular, I said, I would just love the opportunity to photograph you. It was a TV actress. And she went, but what would be the reason? That was before I had a blog. Actually, that was one of the reasons I started it, was because I thought, well,
Uh,
it would give me a reason. So
I mean, if they just look at the people that you photograph, isn't that
but
reason?
it doesn't do in Hollywood. You get all that outside of Hollywood much more than you get it there. Nobody ever acts impressed hardly or anything like that. But if the only feedback you'll get is negative, if it isn't good enough, if it isn't something. But if something's really like great, you never get a call saying, "Oh, this is amazing" or anything like that. Or even this is okay, that
Yeah,
if
I guess
it works, then it just goes. That's your compliment. That's your affirmation, if it were. You're not going to get it in a word.
Okay, so beside this bucket list of people that you have yet to photograph, what's next for Alan Mercer? Pretty would like
I feel
projecting.
I can only kind of guess because I'm not making any specific plans because I'm enjoying not doing that. And I think that it leaves me more open. I'm staying in Texas for the foreseeable future because my father did pass away 4 years ago. And my mother, who had been caring for him quite a bit, for 10 years and all that, she's going to be 86 soon. And so I've been staying here and now tending to her and, helping her at this time. So until she's no longer with us, I'm going to be here. Now, after she's gone, I won't probably stay here. I will probably go. But as to where I choose to go at that time, I don't know. I don't see it being California, though, ever again. It's just too problematic there. There's a lot going on in that state. And so I don't really know. And as long as I feel inspired and I have the hunger and all that, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. But I feel like my destiny probably ties more into music at this point than it does actors. But I don't know, who knows? But I think I could have done what I'm doing in that regard. And I'm enjoying working. Also, I started off working with lots of experienced veterans. And now I'm the more experienced veteran, and I enjoy working with younger people. So that's another thing, But even if I enjoy working with younger people, I'm still very attracted to people who are like 90 and are still around and have been artists all their life, musicians all their life, given their life over, like I think I've done. So I want to honor and celebrate all those kind of people. There's so many more creative, beautiful souls in the world than just the top 40, that are discussed on TMZ and Rolling Stone and all that.
Absolutely.
So
now, Alan, do you sell your work to the public?
If people write me individually or inquiring about particular images, depending on what it is and what it is, yeah. Some things I don't know if I can, but mostly yes, I could. And I'll probably do another book in the fairly near future, but that's so much incredible work that it's a big commitment. So, and at some point I want to actually write because I have a lot of stories and some of them are maybe interesting.
Very cool.
But anyway, I just can't say enough how I feel that whatever life's about, I know it's about having a good time. I don't mean a hedonistic, over the top, like a 80s party, but I mean just enjoying the day, enjoy your time. It's just make that your priority. And I don't know how a lot of people don't get that, but that's where I've focused on making enjoyment and appreciation my priority. So I don't have the same needs I used to. I don't have that hunger coming up feeling. That's long gone. You know,
Mhm.
I have I can just kind of take it easier.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I'm going to be 64 in August. So I think it's natural. I think it might be a little bit odd if I was, you know, like a 20-year-old.
Right.
I don't even think it's possible, but I mean, if I was, I would think you're a little bit stunted. I would say. Now, I still
Yeah.
believe in having fun. That teenage
Absolutely.
part.
Hey, you're
So-
never too old to have fun.
No, I'm all about that. but anyway, talking to people like you is really what is also such a thrill that you would even care. I'm so touched.
Oh. Well, I'm glad we finally had the opportunity to do this. I know it was a while in the making.
Yes, well, that's fine. I also believe in divine timing, so that
Right.
helps. That helps with a lot of anxiety. You know,
Right.
oh, it's divine timing. You don't have to. Oh, I don't have to worry in the least. I rely on it. All right. Well, it was wonderful to speak with you and see you like this, and thank you
Yes,
again.
thank you so much, Alan. But before we go, do you want to tell our listeners your website so they can go to your
Oh.
website and check everything out?
Yeah, it's my name, AlanMercer.com. Been there since November '97. So, and yeah, and there's a link to my blog on my website. And
Right, so they
yeah,
can keep up with everything on there.
check it out. I mean, again, I'm not as I'm on Instagram too, AM Photos 11, and of course Facebook and Twitter. But I'm not super active on any. I've been more on Facebook, I guess. But
More on Facebook, yeah.
yeah, on Instagram, I only share pictures I took. I don't do anything but that. So
Right.
anything else. But all right.
All right, Alan. Well, thank you so much for
Thank
speaking with me
you.
tonight. I'm glad we finally got to do this.
I'll ask Mamie if she. I don't know if she wants to do anything like this. I think she said she did after her book came out about her bird. She's got a bird book coming out.
Oh, really? Well, Alan, thank you again so much. It's been a great
My
pleasure. I'm glad to
pleasure.
finally speak with you.
Oh, my pleasure. Absolutely. All right. Well, have
And,
a wonderful evening.
Yes, you too. And let's definitely do this again.
All right. We will with Mamie next time.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, Alan, have a great night.
Bye.
You're listening to Music 101 with your host, Alexxis Steele. Sponsored by Steel Notes Magazine. You can find them at the web, folks, at www.steelnotesmagazine.com.